Hi there, welcome to a new episode of Behind the Lens. And have you not been excited by the latest news? The Nikon ZFC has been released. Yes, that lovely camera that looks like an analog camera is based on a very old 1982 successful model, and it's out. And as usual, I'm buzzing to get it because there's one thing I love is cameras with an analog look, which are designed for photographers first, so it's not really a vlogging camera. And they're at a reasonable price point. So what I did was I immediately went into my little Amazon cart and put it on pre-order. So I hit that pre-order button, all excited, and then I remembered the wise lessons. Leave it in your cart for 2 days. Do your research. Is it really worth that $1,000? Is it really that well spec'd as we would really hope? And what are the alternatives for €1,000? Versus the features that really suited. And once you start looking at that, there's a different story there. So I looked at a whole bunch of cameras because I really like the feel of analog cameras with the 3 dials on top. And automatically you either end up with Fuji, naturally, and Olympus. The OMD marks, whatever, yeah? They have those kind of features. And I really like those cameras. Yeah, so I was looking for something new, and that was exactly when I saw the Nikon ZFC coming out, and I thought, oh, this is cool. And then I realized there are so many different cameras out there. So we're gonna go in the coming few minutes. I'm gonna show you a bunch of cameras in the same price range, having similar features, maybe not providing that cool analog experience, but some of them do. But in the end, it's all about what's under the bonnet. So when we look at the Nikon ZFC, we see that in specs wise we have a decent camera. There's nothing too special about it, to be very honest. 21 MB sensor, ISO handling, have to be honest, native one is 51,000, and then you can extend it to a crazy 204,000 ISO. Now I don't know anybody who shoots on that, but that's okay. If we see the number of focus points is 200, we see there's no weather sealing, no IBIS. We see a shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. Yeah, so we see all these features as you see here on the actual cheat sheet. But in reality here is that it is pretty much similar to the Nikon Z50. So what Nikon has done is basically something that Fujifilm has done as well. And there's an ambulance. What Fujifilm has done as well when it released the XE4 and the XS10. Similar specs, completely similar, with one big difference. That's the first camera, is the Fujifilm XS10 it has in body stabilization. But for the rest, the features are identical to the XE4. Anyways, let's go. Another camera which is a great buy right now because it's just under $1,000 is the Canon Rebel T8i in the US, and in the rest of the world we know this as the EOS 850D, which is an awesome camera. It really has a dual pixel autofocusing, 4K 24-25 video, 24 megapixel sensor. It comes with the great Canon colors. the image quality is outstanding. It's an excellent camera. If this is your first camera, maybe, if you're considering a Nikon ZFC, definitely look into Canon, because other than all the great features on the camera, Canon has an insanely deep lens ecosystem native. You can really get some fantastic glass there for little money. So that's definitely something you should keep into account. And if you're really into photography first, yeah, the 4K on this camera has a bit of a crop. Yeah, so it narrows in. But that's not significantly different than with any of the other cameras we see. So if you're really looking for a camera under $1,000 new, you should consider the 850D from Canon. Good alternative. Then we have another camera, which is the Sony A6400, or any of the Sonys in the 6,000 ranges are pretty good alternatives for both photography and excellent video capabilities. So the A6400 has 24 megapixels, aps-c sensor. Its ISO has a native handling up to 32,000, but you can extend it to 100,000. It's insane. It has a max shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. Its menus are a bit 1992-ish, so there's no touch screen, all that kind of stuff, but that shouldn't really hold you back. The number of autofocus points is about is 425 and Sony's autofocus is fantastic. One other benefit of Sony is over the Nikon Z mount is the number of native lenses and third-party lenses for its E mount. It's insane. There's literally so much offering there. Decent glass. The color science, is a lot of people are complaining about it, but I think it's really improved. Once you buy one of these, you should just update your firmware. But I think the A6400, as I did an episode on it, really excellent camera now to buy as an alternative for the Nikon ZFC. And now the next cameras, they're pretty exciting. Let's go first to the Fujifilm XT3 particular camera, because it is quite a professional camera. It's got all the dials on top of it, but it's also got some fantastic specs, among which completely improved auto focusing system of 425 focus points, 26 MP megapixel camera. It's got a fantastic shutter speed of 1/32,000th, so 1/32,000, and it is also interesting because the Fujifilm XT4 has been released about a year ago. The price of the XT3 is now roughly at $1,000 new for the body, so that puts it on par with the Nikon ZFC, and it has the same cool buttons on top. So that really makes it a great value proposition for anybody who really is into photography, combined with the Fujifilm film systems, the awesome JPEG processing in body, which basically means is you can pretty much edit any kind of JPEG in the camera body itself and then export it into your phone, which is awesome. The native lens range is about 59 native lenses for Fuji, which is important to know, as for the Nikon ZFC, the Z mount only at the moment has 21 lenses, and Nikon is expected to expand this in the future. So that's a big thing if you're really looking into cameras which give you the analog feel. The XT series, also the XT2 and the XT1, the XT2 is 6 years older, is still a great camera. If you're actually now kind of doubting, I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm just merely trying to state there's multiple cameras. I'm also very interested in your views on it. So what are your experiences, your recommendations? Please let me know. The next camera, which is again the Fuji XS10, which is bizarrely enough the same as the Fuji XE4, with the biggest difference is that the XS10 has actually in-body stabilization. All the other parts are exactly the same. All the features are exactly the same. For two things, indeed, the XS10 has the in-body stabilization, and the form factors are completely different. The XE4 is more the old-fashioned kind of analog hand shooter, while the XS10 is really modern style kind of gear, but it's pretty cool. But interestingly enough, Nikon seems to have copied the same with the Z50, and then now with the ZFC, is that they're identical on everything, so there's no difference. Okay, interesting. But if you're interested in those cameras, those bodies are exactly around the same price point, so that's good to know. And then we have another camera, yeah, we keep on rolling. The next camera is the Lumix GX9, which is around a similar price point. And one of the reasons for Lumix, yes, it's not an aps-c sensor, it's micro four thirds. Yes, Lumix is well known, or Panasonic, to struggle with autofocus, but then again, my benchmark is Sony for my birding, which is completely unfair to any other camera because it's a superior autofocus, plus the camera body that I'm using, which is the A7 III. Yeah, it's about $2,000, so for half the price you can't expect much more. But the great thing about this Lumix camera is that it's got a very intuitive control. It's a very small form factor, and the great thing about Lumix cameras, or micro four thirds cameras in general, is that they're very light, the same as the lenses. They're light lenses, and even better, they've got some fantastic budget lenses. You can see here the little episode I made on this, which was an interesting one as well. Yeah, so if you really look at all the cameras that I've actually presented you as options, would you still buy the Nikon ZFC? And it obviously depends. If you're already a Nikon shooter, you have the benefit of already having the glass, so with the adapter on top of it, $1,300, you might have a great Z mount camera. It looks great, but if you look under the bonnet, would you still buy it? Or what do you recommend? Let me know. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think of the audio and the entire editing, because I've switched from Filmora into Final Cut Pro on Apple, so it's a bit of a learning curve there, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. See you next time.